I've been given many gifts throughout my life. The best ones have not been physical items neatly wrapped in pretty paper handed to me on a special occasion by a loved one. For example, one very special gift was unknowingly handed to me by a complete stranger on a scorching hot morning in the middle of the Spanish desert. After a long night and an emotional morning, he saved me from severe dehydration. He took me into his camper, gave me a special drink that they'd made to aid rehydration. And as he passed me the mug and encouraged me to chug, I couldn't help but notice this sticker on the side. It was a word, a new word I'd never even heard. Compersion. Just speaking the word out loud instantly brought me comfort in a time when I needed it most. And then I read the definition above. Compersion. Loving those that make the ones you love happy. My eyes welled and my heart swelled, instant gratitude filling my body for this most wonderful and unexpected of gifts. Absolutely priceless. And it's not only the gift itself, but also the timing of the delivery of this gift that was so perfect. Because in these moments, I was going through the most painful event of my life so far. So some context. Up until this point, I'd spent the majority of my adult life in a loving long-term relationship with my high school sweetheart and soulmate. However, 3 months prior to this adventure into the desert, the towering wall that together we'd built so tall was slowly beginning to crumble and fall. It was a difficult time where she and I had decided to part after quite some time. Over 10.5 years to be exact, but the fact is, we were soulmates and we were still best friends, and although neither of us wanted it to end, deep down, we both knew that we needed it. And so 3 months on this adventure into the desert, I found myself facing the most testing trial that I'd never envisioned myself facing. Day one, we fly and arrive together to meet the first 4 of our friends. For the first few days, there's just 6 of us. We're staying on a sailboat in Barcelona, and we've got a few days to wait here whilst we wait for the rest of the queue to show up before moving on to the next leg of the adventure. But in these first few days, she gets together with one of our best friends, as it turns out they'd built a bond over the months prior. And it hit like 10 tons of bricks. Day 2, the 3rd of July 2016, what just would have happened to have been our 11-year anniversary, I realised that they'd already been constructing a new wall together. Storm clouds gathered as pain and anguish dominated my entire being. I couldn't speak, I couldn't cry. I was just trapped on this boat with them, just wanting to die. Everybody noticed something was up, but couldn't understand why, because it was kind of secret at first, but soon came out from undercover. I know it would have been hard, but I wish they could have just told me instead of waiting for me to discover. I loved her like I'd loved no other, and I loved him too like I'd love a brother, but now jet flames burned me from which I had no cover. And yet, I wonder if even fire would be as excruciating as that pain. I wondered if I had the strength to keep from going insane. I had to talk myself out of just escaping on the next plane. But I'd been guided to this festival, nowhere, out in the desert, advised to go on many occasions by universal forces. I knew there must be something very special waiting for me there. I knew that I had to brave this storm, and that on the other side the clouds would part and I'd understand why I'd been led there to be stung by this thorn. The days went by and the storm kept raging, keeping me caged in and unable to communicate, unable even to process my own thoughts and feelings. By the time we arrived in the desert, I was exhausted from the constant bombardment of tidal waves that threatened to drag me under every time I saw them together. But I knew I'd finally reached my destination. Finally a chance for some separation. At last I had space to detach, music to dance to, thousands of new beautiful people to befriend. For once, in this long, dark, suffocating tunnel, I could finally see some light at the end. Finally, I could see that small break in the clouds. The first night there was a thrilling ride, but by the time the morning came and we decided to retire inside, I felt an eruption bubbling and knew I needed space away for it to explode without causing any destruction. A space away from my friends where the flow of emotional lava that was imminent would be free to escape without causing any disruptions. So I left. And I wandered across the desert alone, the 6 a.m. sun beating down, its flames laying heavy on my shoulders, lashing like whips, as I soon realised I'd left without a single drip of water to battle the rapid acceleration of dehydration. I got as far as I could and eventually found a place to rest where I could release this great weight from my tired chest I writhed around in the desert sand, kaleidoscope skies, water seeping from my eyes as I cried, laughed and prayed my way to releasing this intense torrent of emotion that had been brewing inside. And then when I finally released enough sweat and tears, I was reminded that your angels are always near. This guy, a complete stranger, offering me the water that my body so desperately needed, unknowingly handing me my true reward for going through this whole process in the same moment. Compersion. You see, if you truly love somebody, then your highest desire for them should be their happiness, even if it's no longer you that are able to provide that for them. And just as importantly, you would equally love whatever or whoever may have taken your place in that equation. I realised in that moment, I should be grateful. I should be grateful to him for providing comfort and connection for her during the most chaotic and unexpected of upheavals. I should be thankful that she was with somebody I know and love and trust to treat her well instead of some stranger I'd never even met. I should be grateful that she was smiling and laughing in a time where tears and sadness could have flowed so easily. When earthquakes shake and the ground below begins to break, putting everything you ever thought you loved at stake, staying balanced and grounded becomes an epic struggle. But this word alone, compersion, became the anchor that kept me stable. You see, unconditional love means just that. To love without the requirement of any conditions to be met, something that we tend to so easily forget, so it would only be right as a warrior of light to give up the fight and find love for them both, even in the darkest of nights. Compersion. This word alone allowed me not only to recognize that, but to realize it. Its vibration would soothe my mind, body and soul, serving to remind me that I am still whole, even though it felt like I'd lost a huge part of my soul, like I'd been split in two. The reality is, we're always one. Even when our parallel paths wander, we'll still always be under the same loving sun. And before long, I found unconditional love for him too, even when I was sure there'd be none. And thanks to compersion, we're all still good friends. And I know this is far from where the story will end. There's no way I can predict what's going to happen next. But all I know now is that love, raw, pure, true, passionate, unconditional love, well, that heals even the most savage of wounds. And I'm not trying to tell you it's easy, but finding love for those that have hurt you is the only path to truth. Because love is our natural state, our divine impulse, our base vibration. It's just so easy to get lost in the many imitations. And every day I thank the Great Spirit for handing me this gift. Every chance I get to share this wisdom, I feel another soul lift as they think of the people in their life for which they need to find compersion. As the concept rings an ancient bell that cuts through their aversions, a diversion, leading them to a new path of understanding. The one I found myself to in that moment where I was standing in that desert, with that mug, laughing at the sticker on the side, marveling at the genius and ever fascinating ways in which the universe chooses to convey the most potent of reminders to me. Feeling the embrace of a holy hug as I repeated the word on the side of that mug, compersion. This became my mantra, and after that holiday, it wasn't long before things were back to normal. Love flowing freely, wounds healing and back to good feelings. So this is why I wrote this piece, to share this word and lead others to peace. Compersion, loving those that make the ones you love happy.